Are you trying to figure out what is happening in the Calgary real estate market as we head into 2024? The numbers are in. We have some interesting stats, some that might really surprise you and shock you a little bit when we look at the last 2 years of Calgary compared to the last 2 years of 2 other major cities in Canada. So let's get started. We're gonna break this video down by 4 different property types: detached, semi-detached, townhomes, and apartments. And if you want to jump around, you want to jump to one and come back to the other, do that. But you got to look at these numbers. They're shocking. And we have them for all property types. So let's go. So let's start off with detached homes. Now, we've had a lot of things happen to detached homes over the last 2 years. I mean, we've had single family home construction unable to meet the demand that is happening in our city. We have had a booming real estate market for detached homes specifically, and headlines and people lining up and fighting for properties over the last 2 years. And it's no wonder why, when you have so many people moving here looking for affordable options, a lot of people are looking at detached homes first. So what has happened? All of the stats we're going to talk about are all from November 2021 to October 2023. So what happened here? For the months of supply for detached homes, and what months of supply is basically how long will it take to sell the current inventory at the current rate of how many places are selling. So if we've got anything that is between 2 to around like 2.5 to 4 months worth of inventory or supply, we're kind of in a balanced market. Anything below is a seller's, anything above 4 is a buyer's market. So the average monthly supply over the last 2 years was 1.5 months. That's not very long. 6 weeks, let's put it that way. 6 weeks worth of inventory for detached homes. The lowest was 0.9 months of inventory in December 2021, and the highest was 2.3 in July of 2022. Right now, as of shooting this video, we are sitting at approximately 1.62 months of inventory. Now, walking into end of 2023, going into 2024, that's a lot lower than we were last year at this time, which was 2.07 months. When you look at the detached benchmark pricing, here's where the shock comes in. November 2021, we saw a $559,000 benchmark price. October 2023, we saw a $697,600 price. That's a $138,600 increase, which is about a 24% jump. If you owned a home over the last 2 years, a detached home, you made approximately $190 every single day by paying your mortgage and owning a property. Now, if you compare that to Vancouver, they only made $180 a day on their detached homes. And if you compare that to GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, they actually lost $74 a day. That is shocking. That is a huge gap. And unlike anything we've probably ever seen that I'm aware of when you look backwards in prices. So my biggest observations right now is in 2022, we were slightly less in sales compared to October 2023. But the thing is, we're about 400 to 500 less listings on the market now than we were the same time last year. So what does that mean? We are probably going to see a strong demand for detached homes in Calgary as we continue into 2024. If the demand increases or stays the same and the supply stays the same, we could actually see our benchmark price jump into the 700s, which could end up being 720, 30, 40. It's who knows. But if it stays this way, that's what we're going to see. Now, if there are more people moving here trying to find more affordable options, they're going to be looking at lower priced options, which could actually cause a little bit of a less demand situation, which doesn't mean we're going to probably see decreases. We might just see a pause. So now let's move on to semi-detached properties. Well, attached, semi-detached. I mean, it's kind of like a catch-all category, is it not? Because you've got everything from luxurious infills that are 700 to $1 million or plus for their values, as well as kind of 1970s or older half duplexes that you could kind of buy for the price of an apartment sometimes. So it is kind of a catch-all category. So if we look at how long it's taking to sell these properties, we will talk about the months of supply. And right now, on average per month, it was about 1.6 months worth of supply at any given time throughout the year, which means it took about 6 to 7 weeks for every single property type in a semi-detached category to actually sell and move to a new owner. So it's pretty quick, actually. The lowest we saw was 0.84 months, which was in May of 23 of this year. And the highest was about 2.59 in December of 22. So right now we are sitting at about 1.59 months of supply, where this time last year we were sitting at 2.1. So again, like the detached properties, there is lower supply and higher demand as we end this year and go into 2024. Now, as for benchmark pricing in semi-detached homes, you got to remember, we got the luxury stuff and we got the half duplex stuff, right? So on average, we saw it go from $509,900 in November 21 up to $628,700 in October 23, which is about $118,800 in increase, which is just a little bit less than your detached properties at about 23.3%. A lot of numbers, but how much did you make every single day? Well, $163 to be exact. If you owned a semi-detached property, you made $163 every single day. And every hour, $6.79 you made by owning a property. Kind of interesting. But what's even more interesting, because these are all different property genres and eras and years, right? If you look at properties that were built newer than 2010, you made $119 per day on average over the last 2 years. If you owned a property that was older than 2010, you made probably $134 per day. Interesting. So the newer stuff made less dollars per day than the older stuff. Why is that? Well, that made me think and question, and so I actually went to even older and said, what about 1990? Because a lot of these older properties aren't the new luxury infills. So if we go 1990 and older, you actually make $149 per day. So if you are in the market and you're trying to figure out what to buy, buying a older semi-detached property like a half duplex made more money than buying a luxurious infill. Kind of interesting. So it might actually beg to differ and say, if you're looking for an affordable property type, instead of looking for something with condo fees, look for a half duplex. A little bit of a tip there. All right, townhomes, row homes, side-by-sides, whatever you call them, they are a hot commodity in Calgary. And there was some articles that came out at the beginning of this year that said this could be the year of the condo. Now, technically, condos, when people think of them, is typically apartments, but technically they are a part of, condos and townhouses. Apartments and townhouses are all together because you pay condo fees in a condominium corporation. But when I look at that, I think that article is talking about apartments, and I think it was wrong, because I think 2023 was the year of the townhome. Put it up, claim it. I'm saying it because it really was, and here's why. So if you thought there was a lot of money to be made owning a detached or a semi-detached property over the last 2 years, wait till you see what townhomes have done. In November 2021, they had a benchmark price of $311,400, and in October 2023, it was at $425,200, which is a $113,800 increase, which total, like dollar-wise, is less than detached homes, but it was 36.5% increase over the last 24 months for townhomes in Calgary. So if you break that down per day, you actually made $156 per day by owning a townhome over the last 2 years. Now, if you compare that to Vancouver's townhomes, now again, totally different price point, but when you look at the differences of November to October, so November 21 to October 23, they only not only, but they only made $151 per day compared to our $156 per day. And if you go to the GTA, they actually only made $27 a day, where we were at $156 per day. So here's some of my thoughts on townhomes going into 2024. Honestly, I believe they're going to continue to be a hot topic, a hot commodity, because what happened over the last 2 years is many buyers who were moving to Calgary or from Calgary who were planning on buying a detached or even like some other type of property, semi-detached, detached property, and they were getting priced out of the market. Values were going up quicker than they could save for a down payment. So what happened? They had to either quit, not buy anything, or they had to adjust what they wanted to purchase. And the natural tendency is to go down to a townhome from a starter home, right? So you go from maybe 1,200, 1,400 square foot detached starter home. And if that gets out of your price range, you're gonna jump down into townhomes that are maybe 1,100 square feet. So you're getting similar square footage, you're just attached, you got condo fees, you have to change your mindset, and that's what happened over the last 2 years. As we move into 2024, it's just gonna continue to be a hot topic, a hot commodity. But the thing that I think is gonna have the most potential for growth is apartments. Apartments have really pushed our market to a different direction. Historically, apartments have been a horrible decision to purchase as an investment if you're wanting to do that. Now, for those that were needing to buy an apartment because that's what they could afford and they wanted to own something, well, that's a different story. But if you're buying it strictly for an investment, it was not a good idea to buy a condo unless you're able to short-term rent it or get more income coming in. At the end of the day, it just really wasn't, because you didn't see an increase in value like you did in other types of properties. But is that going to remain the same as we head into 2024? Well, let's look at the numbers. When we look at the months of supply, how long it takes to sell everything on the market currently, if you average out over the last 24 months, we were sitting at 2.17 months of supply. Now, if you look at 2022, it was 2.4 months. If you look at 23, this last year, it was at 1.5. That's a big change. Like, that's a really big change. You're going from flirting, being inside of a balanced market and a seller's market, to fully in a seller's market this year for apartment condos. So if you look back from 2018 to 2022, we want to kind of have a baseline like we did with the townhomes, and that was 5.96 months of inventory, nearly 6 months of inventory on average for 4 years? For 4 years. That's a long time of being in a really decent buyer's market for those that were buying and owning it. And as we move into 23 and 24, I feel like we're gonna see this low months of supply staying there because the demand for apartment condos in Calgary is actually increased. And I feel like we've hit a new era. Oh, a new era. What do you mean, Chamberlain? And what I mean by that is there are more people who are open to buying apartments now and living there for a lifestyle choice, not because that's only what they can afford. There are more amenities being built. There are more things that they can do. There's better underground parking. There's better facilities inside of the buildings. Now, not all buildings are made equal. I want to make that very clear. But there are more options and more opportunities for those to live in this type of property. But how much did it make? How much did it increase? How much did you make per day by owning an apartment condo over the last 2 years? In November 2021, the benchmark price for apartments was $245,200. And in October 2023, it went up to $316,600, which is a $71,400 increase. Now, that's a lot less than the other property types. They were all over $100,000 increase over the last 2 years in the same time frame. However, that is still $90 per day that it went up over the last 2 years. And if you compare that to Vancouver, this is shocking. If you compare that to Vancouver, it was only $22 per day that their condos went up over the last 2 years. And the GTA, I'm sorry guys, but it was only $10 a day. Calgary was $90 a day. GTA, $10 a day. 10, 90. Like that's a big difference. And we are now in a city where people are open to living in condos. I think that has finally changed. I've said it for years, probably even 15 years, that when the last boom happened in 2007, 2014, and these things were moving and being built and apartments were going up, I just had this gut feeling that they weren't the right thing to purchase because there was a mindset shift that had to happen in Calgary. And to be honest, I honestly think that we are finally there. We are seeing a mind shift, and it's not always from within, it's from those that are coming and kind of helping us change our mindset and our needs and what's happening in the city. So are condos gonna be a good investment? Are apartments gonna be the thing to purchase? Ugh, I hate saying this. I cringe as a Calgarian knowing the history of condo apartments, but I think they will be. I think buying a condo for the next 5 to 10 years could be a really smart investment. Now, you have to buy the right building. You can purchase just any condo and expect it to do whatever you think it's gonna do. There's a lot more involved in that. If you're considering buying an older home, an older condo, anything that is an older property, we'll see you on that video because we got tons of tips, tons of things to help you sort out how to purchase an older property. But make sure before you go, if this has been helpful, like this video, subscribe, and we will see you over there.